Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, 2014. Looks like it's about 7:03. Is that where we're at? 7:02 p.m. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Sherby, please call the roll.
Present. Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Present. Everybody's here and back from a vacation, I see.
Yes,
So, congratulations again, Paulie.
Thank you.
Item number 5, public comments and questions. To give as many visitors as possible an opportunity to speak and in the interest of adjourning by 9. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length unless further time granted by the board on active agenda matters or general matters. Anyone?
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gregory Blomberg. I live at 10141 Pell Street. Why I'm here is kind of concerned about a water main leak that's been going on for over a week now. That started Tuesday morning, which I called into the Public Works at 10:30 in the morning to find out where the break is and what can be done about it. And within half hour, 20 minutes or more, they brought a van over trying to locate where it's at. The following Wednesday, there was a locator outfit that came out there and so forth. Well, it sat there where an ice was building up, went from my street around the corner to northbound on Westchester Boulevard to the tune of 75 to 100 feet and impairing almost the driveway apron of the next door neighbor from the corner's house. And nothing was ever done. Got bigger, got bigger, got bigger. Well, I left a message on Sam Puglia's phone yesterday. He called me at 5 to 8 this morning saying that they're having a hard time finding where the pipe is. And I believe that's part of the pipe that's laying there on the floor from what I understand. It's flowing like a river right now. And there's horses around the water that's building and flowing around this area by the curb on Westchester Boulevard. It's impairing the northbound traffic that almost be running into the median on the northbound side there. So I don't know what's going to be done. But if you can't find the pipe where the leak is at, maybe we should talk to Hancock Engineering, who did the job back when John Sidney was mayor, and get a smart comment from one of the owners of the company that if I didn't like the way they configured the end of the street around there, that I should move. And what's even funny about it, there's a buffalo box that's supposedly on the person's property side, where it's not true. And he's probably been here a couple times, saying that he's not responsible for anything that was added to his property because he has a survey as such. And the buffalo box basically is on his property if you want to extend his property line. But he's not going to take care of that. It's not his property. He's got a big elm tree on that property that's probably 125, 130 years old. Maybe this is part of the problem that's causing the water leak. I don't know. But it's an elm tree. And if that has to die and come down, he's not going to pay for it.
Well, in addition,
but the interest of me right now is this water leak that's causing us, because in the last 2 years, our water rates has increased 15% on your water bill. And it's going to do that again because the meter's running in Chicago and they don't care.
yeah. All I could tell you as of probably 4:30 this evening, I asked the guys that came in. They dug down X amount of feet. They weren't able to locate the exact pinpoint of the leak. So they had some difficulty and they backfilled it and they're going to be at it again. But apparently they had ATS to try to locate the leak, the locating service, and it is a small leak. However, obviously when it comes up it gets to be sizable, but it's not one that pours out similar to the pipe that I'm displaying out in front.
Well, if you go by it right now, it's running like a river. Yeah. It's really going. And like I say, it's costing, costing everybody here, because we're not immune to this. Everybody's going to pay this extra fee in water rates every year if we don't start doing something. And I says that, and if you can't find it or where it's located, maybe it's a possibility it's part of the lake. Because there's a lake underneath Westchester that meanders over by DI.
Yeah.
And maybe it's part of the lake, that maybe it's disrupting something, and this water is coming out like a fissure somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't there a week ago Monday. And all of a sudden, when I came back from having my coffee, all of a sudden I saw it, and I called right away to let them know.
Now, we'll recontact Public Works to see what but that was from one of the workers that came in. They had another leak today on Bristol that they were taking care of as well, so
Yeah,
they're jumping from one to the
There was
other.
another one over there, right, 1 block west of LaGrange Road, or Manheim Road there, right by Rocky's Pizza, a couple weeks ago. Right there at Bellevue and Cermak, where they fixed it and the horses were still there in the snow. And
That
they
one
got
was-
that done with 2 days.
That
That's
one
why-
was an all-nighter.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah.
We'll get on it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Next, anyone else, please?
I won't take up more than about 5 minutes, if that's okay.
That's okay.
My name is Michael Munn, 1929 Balmoral, with respect to the demo of the garage. I
Okay.
came in here maybe a couple months ago now with respect to it. At that time, I indicated that the garage, the demo of it was denied, although I had the permit in hand. First and foremost, though, I'd like to thank the people involved with respect to getting it cleared up for the most part. All right, I mean, within a day and a half, you guys were good at getting back to me with the phone call. Electrical, everything was cleared up and approved. However, there's probably still gonna be another issue with respect to the plans that were submitted. Gosh, I don't know where to go with it. When I first moved in, I spoke with Karen as to what I would have to do in demoing the garage, trying to find out what the procedure was. She indicated at that time, I turned in a building instructor's sketch meeting the percentage requirements. I also turned in the Cook County demo permit and turn in building plans. Well, I mean, at that, when I was told to turn in building plans, I went home and thought about it, and it really didn't make any sense. Because if I've got to go buy the plans prior to knowing if I'm going to meet the building and structures percentage requirement, and you guys come back and tell me, no, I can't build this thing, okay, I'm out anywhere from $200 to $1,500. I mean, the contractor that I contracted with to demo the garage, to do the concrete flat work, he got the plans for me. I may not use this contractor to build the garage, yet he is on the permit that was issued to me when we came in and got the permit, the building permit. So I mean, how is that going to be affected when springtime comes? I mean, I'm already $1,355 into this in fees.
Well, I would imagine that if he's going to use those plans that you're going to provide him, or so you're going to draw a whole new set?
Well, how about another, in other words, he hasn't given me a proposal with respect to the construction of the garage. I didn't contract with him to do that. But yet I was told that I'd have to have these plans and the demo permit and sketch all submitted to the village at once. Okay? And I did that. But it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily gonna use this guy. I use the same plans.
Right, if you don't use him, I would imagine that whomever you use has to be licensed
Well,
and,
obviously.
and a contractor of the village. I would imagine that would have to transpire, correct?
All right, but I mean, obviously, I know that that new contractor would have to be village approved or whatever, right? But there'd be no additional fees at that point?
Yeah, they'd have a registration and contractor fee.
Probably are anyway. That's what I wanted to find out.
Yeah.
All right. That's good enough for now.
Oh, okay.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
I usually don't have to raise the microphone with my, I'm vertically challenged here, so. But, good evening, my name is Bill Ostendorf, I live at 2901 Mayfair Avenue. I feel like, Will Rogers saying I don't know anything unless I read it in the newspaper, and I was reading the newspaper, and there's a couple things that piqued my interest. One of the, I was looking at this MWRD WHO program, and, you know, whether
What program there?
the WHO program, the water reclamation, what do you call it? Watershed management ordinance.
Okay.
Whether the village should apply for self-administration. I think at this point, I would recommend, in my personal opinion, having worked with Public Works several times in the last year or so, I think that that's just another burden that Public Works doesn't need. And I think it takes some qualification to understand that ordinance. I went through the ordinance myself today, and I said, you just can't have any rookie doing this kind of stuff. So that was my recommendation, because right now we can't even administer, you know, what we've got over here. We don't, we don't even know where in certain projects, we don't know where the relief structure is, the overland relief route. We don't know if there's any orifices or any stormwater control structures that are up to code. I know that the one for the Westchester Corporate Center isn't there, doesn't exist. It contributes to the flooding in Westchester. We haven't done anything about it since I located that information about 6 months ago. The other question I have is the I&I program, the infiltration and inflow with sanitary sewer. I know there's a short-term program that has to be implemented in 5 years. There's just a statement here that says the short-term program has to be implemented in 5 years. What is the short-term I&I program? And the third thing that I have to make a comment on, reading the newspaper here, is the village has finally got a comprehensive plan after 60 years, when state statute says, you know, you should have a comprehensive plan every 10 years. But at least we're on it. But the thing is, I'm wondering if the comprehensive plan is open to review by the citizens of Westchester, or is this going to be something implemented by the City of Chicago Planning Board? Thank you.
If you're interested, the 19th of February, and I believe it's at Chicago Ridge, Village Hall, there's an I&I meeting. If you're interested, I can certainly send you the information. They have a couple of workshops of spreading the I&I information. So the difficult part that I have with I&I is it's targeting separated systems. And my biggest complaint with MWRD is that the City of Chicago is exempt, and so are all the communities that have combined systems, that they don't have to do anything. So, in my opinion, we're being punished. And when I said that I was going to brick up all of our sewers to have them all go in one, I was told that she would call the Attorney General on me and have me arrested. So I said, have at it. But, but I have to play nice. Janet says I have to play nice, so, anyway. Comprehensive, we did have meetings on the comprehensive plan. A number of them were here. They're all public meetings. We had focus groups. I mean, there were invitations out there. I don't know how you may have missed them, but, I mean, it's been going on for a while. I mean,
there's information on the Village's website. There will also be adopted plan. It'll probably be approved by Village Board in the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's just in the final stages of getting completed. Once it's completed, it'll be on the Village's website as well.
but there's a draft
There was a
available.
public
for-
hearing also.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could get you a copy of the
Yeah.
draft document if you'd like.
There we go. Fair enough? Okay. Anyone else? If not, do we have any public hearings?
No, we don't.
Item number 7, consent agenda, A through E. Bills, reports, minutes, closed session minutes, resolution regarding periodic review of closed meeting minutes. Anything need to be pulled?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Nick, second by Frank. Discussion, if not, Sherby, the roll, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Active agenda, I don't see anything.
No items tonight.
Okay. Managers report, Janet.
Sure, just two things I wanted to mention tonight. First, I wanted to just remind everybody that the village administrative offices and public works will be closed on Monday, February 17th, in observation of President's Day. As always, fire and police will be open 24/7. Also wanted just to remind everybody that February 18th is the last day to register to vote for the primary election. And if you do need to register someone to vote, and remember that 17-year-olds can now register if they will be 18 prior to the election in November, that you can come on into Village Hall. We have a number of deputy registrars who can get you registered. And that's all I have this week.
Michael, anything, sir?
Just a couple items for executive session. I apologize in advance.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Board members, Frankie, anything from EDC?
Just preparing for the summit meeting coming up. Melissa, what's the date on that? I'm sorry. March 20th.
March 20th.
Yes.
And that's it in the evening, 7?
Yeah.
Did you
Here,
pick
right?
a time?
Community room or is it, Joe?
It'll be a package.
Okay, it's but the community church.
Community
Yeah.
church, and you said 5?
It'll start at 5:30.
5:30.
Networking between 5 and
Okay. Nicholas, anything?
ETSB, now that we got Jay on board, we set up a meeting for February 20th at 1:30 here in the courtroom. Police and fire, they're processing the guys for the fire department right now. Sergeant's promotional exam is ongoing, and lieutenant's language is with the attorney, or not yet? Okay, and then the captain's exam has been scheduled, correct? I thought there was a date. Okay, I thought there was a date, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thomas?
We're still trying to work on the get out and play day. Hopefully we can kick it off in June. We're talking to St. Joe's right now for the venue.
For what?
Get out and play.
Oh, Mrs. Obama's
Yep.
initiative.
Mhm.
Okay. Angelo?
Our environmental committee meets on Thursday, and we are working on finalizing all the agenda for the upcoming April 30th seminar, and to kind of promote the awareness of the effects of stormwater runoff and different alternatives and things we can do to help mitigate some of the water problems we're having. There's going to be a variety of different entities there. We went to the Park District meeting last night, and they were on board, you know, as far as supporting us. You know, just going to try to provide different resources and ideas to the community, things that people can do themselves to help mitigate you know, the amount of water that we're putting into our storm systems. So we'll have, hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have this up and maybe some information on the website and some other ways of advertising it, getting out to the residents.
We have an April 30th target.
April
I
30th
believe,
target, correct.
And actually, at a steering committee meeting today for the county that Jana and I attended, that's one of the things that was critical in our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and obstacle plans was getting buy-in and involvement from the citizenry. So that's going to cover that base as well.
Okay.
Celestine, anything? Nothing. Newlywed, anything you'd like to share?
Oh, yes, boss, thank you. I just came back from a wonderful, I'd say vacation, but over this past week I got married again. And it's a beautiful, beautiful day and with a beautiful bride. And we had a fantastic time down in Marco Island. So the weather wasn't too bad. It was only 85 and sunny every day. So, but thank God it was fantastic, and it's good to be back home and back to work again. So, thank you.
We did not put all that snow on your front yard from your
Didn't
street.
matter to me. I didn't care. When I came home, it was fine. I had my fit of the sun.
Great. Chief Carpino, before you get rolling, I do want to compliment you on the annual report for 2013. Obviously, I took a look at it in detail as a police officer, and I thought it was very thoroughly done. I wanted to compliment you.
Found two misspelled words, we've corrected since then. And apparently you missed cannabis and offenses.
I-
Corrected. In regards to what Trustee Steckert mentioned, final 3 fire applicants' backgrounds were turned over to Molly yesterday, and the candidates for the office of police sergeant are attending an assessment next week. So that's moving forward. With that said, in the month of January, our officers issued several hundred tickets for snow removal operations. And in the last week or so, they've issued another 100 or so on the snow routes and the uneven streets within the village. I was out during the last snow event, and was glad to see that Westchester Boulevard was free of cars shortly after the falling of the few inches of snow. So apparently the people are getting it. It's imperative. We're paying overtime for these public works employees to move the snow, and if you want the snow to be moved in a relative, short period of time, the cars have to be moved regardless. You find a place for them. If you have to temporarily move them onto your driveway back and forth, it's inconvenient, but it's the only way the streets are going to be plowed properly. There were a few cars we've identified through the village that we tagged for tow. A few people, after they saw tow stickers, removed the cars, and I believe a few of them had to be towed by our agency. They were either obstructing traffic, or now they're coming up to the 7-day limit. We'll be towing them this week if they're still there. So, anybody, about a month ago, I called all the elected officials to see if they knew of any particular vehicles that were somewhere throughout the village that needed attention. A few of them were brought to our attention. I think, for the most part, what I saw the other day is the main snow routes were clear of traffic. I think the people are getting the message. We take it very seriously. That's all I have to offer.
Thank you, sir. Jim.
Just a couple of things. Real quick, with this wonderful weather again, please check on your neighbors if they need any assistance. If you can't, let us here at the village know, and we can try to provide assistance wherever possible. Our warming center is also available. Someday I'd like to make it a cooling center if we can ever get through this winter. But it is for temporary housing for emergency situations. We provide cots and fresh water. bring your own blankets and food, and no pets unless they're certified service animals. Also, myself, along with about 6 or 7 of our police officers, along with Jim Burr from the Park District, Mike Zallo, and Greg Lieben from the Westchester Public Schools, and Lenny Grammarosa from DI. We're actually at the law enforcement response to school violence all day today, presented by retired Colonel Grossman, which was a really nice presentation, and it definitely strengthens our working relationship between fire, police, and our agencies that we work with hand in hand with our schools and park district. So that was a really good program we attended today. And also later this afternoon, we took our final delivery on our new rescue vehicle. This was after it had gone to St. John's for the final mounting of aftermarket equipment such as extrication tools, the air cascade system, the compressed air foam system, mounting of the various electronic devices that we have on there, radios, and we will be doing our best over the next 2 to 3 weeks to get our driver training in and do our finished mounting on our hand tools, so we can get it in service. So, and I'm going to hopefully have better weather. We'll bring it to a village board meeting and have it for all to see. But before then, if you're curious, my firehouse is open all the time. You guys are more than welcome to come in and check it out and let me know what you think. So that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Maureen, how are you?
Tonight I presented the board with the third quarter financials. I'd just like to go over a few of the highlights of those. As you are aware, quarterly financials are just a snapshot in time of where the village is financially this fiscal year, but it does not tell the whole story. So I just wanted to go over a few things here. First, we tend to go look at the bottom line. Currently, we are at $1,044,000 deficit. However, this is mostly in part attributed to the fact that the village has only received roughly half of its property tax collections. As you know, our property tax revenue makes up a large portion of the village's revenue. Some other revenue streams that skew the numbers would be the amusement tax. A majority of the revenue comes from the Chicago Highlands, which is a seasonal company resulting in revenue fluctuations. Some positive results that I would like to point out would be building permits and business licenses. This is a direct result of new and expanding businesses coming to Westchester. I anticipate on a continued growth in this area as Mariano's enters the village, and hopefully that will also attract others to follow suit. I also want to point out the photo enforcement numbers are seemingly low to date, but please note that we have had a change in vendor and a lapse in service. However, the new Safe Speed vendor, they have brought all the cameras up and they have issued violations. While we don't have hard numbers yet, I could say I've seen a lot of foot traffic in the office of people coming in and paying fines. So I think ultimately we are going to reach our targeted budgeted goal. Moving along to expenses, one of the items that caught my attention right away when coming to the village was the fees we pay to the bank. While the industry has changed and paying fees is just a reality, I still thought we were a little high on the high end of fees. I started meeting with Harris Bank back in December and have had some tough negotiations, you could say, and as recently as a few weeks ago, I had little over 10,000 reversed in fees. As of this morning, I was in contact with Harris again, and we're hoping to get some more fees reversed in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Very good.
10 grand, thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully there will be more to follow. As we saw growth in revenue with permits and fees, we are also seeing growth in community development's contractual expenses. This is a direct result of needing more inspections and plan reviews of these new projects we are seeing. So it's a good thing. In the police department, we are feeling the effects of the aging fleet of squads. Repair costs have been averaging about $1,900 a month. They are having defect issues with a few of the Dodge vehicles and are having more unforeseen emergency repairs pop up. So this is kind of a quick 10,000-foot look at our financials in this third quarter, but it's going to serve as a good foundation as we begin to hammer down our numbers for our upcoming budget here.
Thank you. I know we probably have some questions.
I have a question.
Looking at the complete report, Frankie?
You know, it's not so much having to do with the budget. However, Janet, where are we at with BNF? Have we taken in more applications for somebody to do those inspections?
Melissa is posting that. We, over the holidays, delayed that until the holidays were over. Melissa, you want to address that?
Over the last month or so, we've had a reduced level of permitting, so because it's been quiet, we haven't posted for that job position yet, but I anticipate posting for it in the next couple days.
Right, and we
Okay, good.
still will use BNF for some of these
Sure.
larger projects, just to make sure that,
Right.
you know, and then pass those costs on through to the development.
Anything else? I'm sure we'll have other questions as well as we
Feel free to email
dig this in a little deeper, and I'm sure we'll be scheduling our budget meetings
Very soon.
in pretty short order, correct? All right. Gregory?
Good evening. As the board may recall, we did, the board approved purchase of the license plate recognition system, and just a little update on where we're at with that. There was a little delay in getting the product due to the holidays. We have received the product, the actual hardware and software, and tentatively, I shouldn't say tentatively, I'll say that it is scheduled for installation next week, Tuesday. So they'll install and attempt to begin training that day, and the following days after that to get our officers acclimated as to how the system is going to work. And as soon as it's up and running, I'll, of course, update everybody again on how it's working, and of course encourage anybody that's interested in seeing it in action to let me know, and we could work something out and let the chief know. Definitely demonstrate the unit for anybody that is interested. The other thing I wanted to bring up more for the public, because everybody here received the email with regarding to the phone call scam email that I'd sent out about a week ago. Just as an informational for the public, I had let our staff know, and those who had cell phones specifically that were Village phones, of this potential scam. It come to my attention because I had received 2 telephone calls that were from out of the country. I did not answer them, did not return the calls. Wasn't expecting any out of the country calls, and didn't pay it much mind initially, but after doing a little research on the telephone numbers that I received, as well as some information from the Better Business Bureau on those telephone numbers, I'd come to find that numbers that are being called, numbers that are being received from the countries of Antigua or Grenada and the Virgin Islands, anywhere in that area, is an attempt to scam cell phone users into calling back in the attempts of putting large charges on the bills, typically a $19 charge plus $9 a minute. The Better Business Bureau is well aware of the complaints, and shortly after I had sent that email out, it ended up, it was on the news, and apparently in the Chicagoland area, it's been heavily hit. The 708, 847, 815, and 312 numbers have all been, hit. Typically, they're assuming through a computer dialing system that's pinging the number real quick onto somebody's phone in an attempt to get him to call. So for the public, and possibly as a newsletter article in the near future, we could put in, hoping that nobody in our town gets scammed by these. They're talking, according to the Better Business Bureau, people are getting hit with charges of over $200 or $300 in trying to call back. So just a piece of information and an update. And as well, one last thing about that. After sending that email out, I did receive several emails back from staff members that have Village phones that also received those calls. None of them to date have called back. I've checked in with Verizon. Better Business Bureau advised me that Verizon has been reversing the charges. So if you know anybody personally that's been affected, contact your cell phone carrier immediately, and they'll do their best to work with you on that according to what I've been advised. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. Melissa?
Good evening. Just so that everybody knows, the Plan Commission will be holding a public hearing next week on Tuesday for Mariano's. We've been continuing to work with their development team to make sure that we're prepared for the public hearing. We prepared a Safe Routes to School application, applied for a grant to update some stop signs near schools and. Oh, I'm sorry. We applied for a Safe Routes to School grant to update some signage. They'll be LED powered so that they'll blink near the schools in town if we get the grant. Just so that everybody knows, President Pooley had brought up at the end of last year concerns about handicap parking and non-compliant parking spaces. And so staff has drafted a letter to property owners and business owners that have these non-compliant handicap parking spaces, but we've held off the compliance dates until May to give owners time to address the violation.
With the weather, we may have to add a month or so to that, because we'll probably still have snow in June. So.
We might, yes, at this rate. That's all that I have.
Yes, I became aware of a safe school grant, and I contacted the school district and Melissa, and one of the suggestions were, if you've been to some schools around here, they have the LED. If you've been by Target, you've seen the LEDs along that frontage road, and I thought it would be an opportune time to apply for some monies to put those LED stop signs on or around the majority of the schools. So I don't think we wanted to be hog hoovers with the grant, but we put an appropriate number in there to try to cover both ends. So we'll see where we go with that. Ms. Sherby, it's up to you now. Okay. I got a couple of things. As you know, I've been contacting the Forest Preserve District via Cook County for the possibility of the ownership of the land between Westchester Boulevard, Manheim, Cermak Road, and Crestwood, where we have our memorial fountain, where we have our water distribution system at the Crestwood station. And I received a letter the other day that pretty well puts the finality to this, that basically state law does not let the Forest Preserve District of Cook County give any land to anybody that is more than an acre. So they've cited some county forest preserve rules and also a state statute that was done in 1923 that pretty well limits the annexation of forest preserve lands for any municipality or any work. Subsequent to that, we will file for another license agreement like we have for the fountain area and also the water distribution to try to get the eastern portion. So we're either going to amend the original license agreement for the fountain area and include something on the other side, but that's in the works. But that's to rest. Secondly, the other issue that we've been working on for quite some time, we finally got some direction. The area between probably Newcastle and Gardner Road on Drury Lane, pretty much where the split is at. As you all know, the CN Railroad runs behind this village and traverses that area as well as it travels eastbound. As you know, we have had some flooding situations as a result of the runoff from the train tracks into the culvert that really isn't a culvert anymore because of the amount of overgrowth and things that I'm saying probably some residents put back there as well as other people, construction that was done on that property. But at the end of the day, there is a federal statute in the appeals court for the Seventh Circuit that would cover us from Indiana. The city of Kendallville had a similar situation with the Michigan Southern Railroad Company. And basically, if you read through the paperwork here, and the short version is that the municipalities have no jurisdiction over federal authorities. The federal transportation covers the trains, and we have no standing at the end of the day. There's another case in West Virginia, although in a different circuit, that pretty much covers the same thing. They don't want the thousands of municipalities that railroads travel through to have impact on whether or not the trains would go through there or whatever. There's a 15-foot area that the railroad needs to keep for safety concerns, but their opinion, the railroad, is that if you have growth in those areas there, it would not allow for people to be hanging around in there and snowmobiles and other issues there, that they see it as a positive, as we see it potentially as a negative. So with that, I have drafted a letter and turned it over to Congressman Davis yesterday in regards to this, to try to get some assistance with that. And, you know, I'm not adverse to, and never have been adverse to, having our public works do a little work back there and do some cleanup or whatever to allow that water to traverse to Gardner Road where it's supposed to, instead of hitting an obstruction and making a fast right turn and into somebody's backyard and ultimately into somebody's basement. So with that being said, we'll be monitoring that situation, and if we can do some cleanup back there as well, possibly in the spring, we're going to take a look at it to try to alleviate some of those areas. But I have to tell you, trying to address all these flood issues and being at the forefront of that at the county level, it is very difficult to work with any agencies other than ourselves to try to get like-minded thinking. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. So, at the end of the day, that's where we're at. Janet and I attended yesterday a meeting hosted by the Oak Park Library, by Danny Davis, in regards to the ever-increasing complaints about the Westchester Post Office. There were a number of people there. Most of the people were complaining about the Oak Park office. Obviously, it was in Oak Park, in Forest Park. But I'm here to tell you that I made the representation that Westchester and the Maywood office is no better than what I heard that was occurring in the Oak Park area. There is a new, say, manager, but an audit processor. His name is Terry Mallory, who was there. He's the manager in consumer and industry contact for the Postal Service. I will be putting this in the newsletter as well. There's a customer contact number, 800 number, and also a hotline, and also a web number to call as well. Anyway, we spent about, maybe an hour and a half there, and we heard pretty much every complaint under the sun, similar ones that we have as well. The only different one that we added to it was I couldn't see how they can operate a post office that didn't have stamps, and was looked at kind of with a weird eye, and I said, yes, our post office had no stamps when we went to get stamps. Additionally, and I told them personally where I go with my mail, which is not next door. So anyway, I'm hoping for good things. Mr. Allen was the head guy, the district manager that was there, and he indicated that he knows the situation and hopefully we'll be on it. So hopefully we can get a little bit better service in that regard. A little bit of bad news as well. Most of us all know that Mrs. Bailey passed away, former trustee. But Mr. Luigi Mazzula, father of Stone Park Mayor Benny Mazzula, passed away as well, and we'll be at the Russo Chapel in Hillside tomorrow. So for those of you that that knew Mr. Missoula, I'm sure he would like the respects. I have received a liquor application from Stella's, and if there are two board members that would like to join me in having that liquor hearing, we have to get a date next week, hopefully. Paul, anyone else?
I could probably do it.
Frankie?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try to get some dates next week with Angelo and get that. It's a liquor application for Stella's. And while we're talking about liquor, a question came up, and I'm looking for some input as the I put out a rapid survey, or actually Janet did, to WCMC to find out this one question. And the question is this, and this is controlled totally by the Liquor Commission. Does anyone have a problem with an 18-year-old waitress either taking a drink order and I guess the crux is delivering a drink order to a table? So in other words, a waitress that's got to be 18 years old, has to be BASA trained because that's what we require, could come to your table and you could say, I want a 7-7, and then she would actually deliver it to your table. In the 10 responses that I got, they were 50-50. Some said had to be 21. Elmhurst said 19. Schiller Park, Franklin Park said 18. I believe North Riverside is 18. Two of them didn't answer the question, but
I just wanted to
That was the
clarify
question.
that this person would not be pouring the drink, would only be delivering it from the bartender
Yeah.
to the
Countryside is 18. Western Springs 21.
Is it legal?
McCook 21.
It's legal?
It's totally up to us. Villa Park is 21.
State law, the question was, is it legal? State
Yeah.
law allows it, but as a local regulator, you have the right to set it at a different age.
So I'm looking for input. That's all.
I have no problem with it.
State law allows it, but it's up to us.
Yeah, if they're not pouring it. and
They're not
accept-
pouring it.
And taking the money at the end of the meal to pay the bill. I mean, is that another issue? If they're accepting the money, you know, I'm done, I
No.
give you my check, I give you some cash, you go check it out. I mean, is that,
There's
There's
nothing.
I've had experiences myself where used to be in Dominic's, or a Jewel, or a CVS or whatever, and I see someone else coming over to the register to punch it in. I mean, that's still, the sale is made, I mean, the waitress situation serving the alcohol that they pick up at the service bar is allowed by state law, and it doesn't turn on whether you pay, in most restaurants, you don't pay the waitress, you usually, well, a lot of times you do, sometimes you don't, but that's not the test. So it's, by state law, they're allowed to serve, they just are not allowed to pour.
Yes, they can deliver, but they can't pour it or touch it. They can't go behind the bar and make it and then run it out to you.
Right.
It's just that the 21-year-old would fill the glass, she would take it and drop it off at the table.
The whole problem is if you have a liquor license, it becomes problematic, I've been told, to have two different waiters or waitresses serving the beverage portion and then the food portion, so.
So,
I have
again,
no problem with it.
I asked for input from other municipalities. I kind of read off the ones that I got. But it's 50-50 split, so.
I said I
Don't
think
care,
18's
Nick?
fine.
Sally?
If it's the law.
That's allowable.
I have no problem with it.
I have no issues with it either.
Why do I have to be the only one, huh? Sometimes I have a problem with it. You know, an 18-year-old serving liquor or anything in an establishment that does serve liquor and stuff, I understand the split of everything, and that's fine. But I have a problem, because, you know, the law's 21, and that should be 21. Everyone serving liquor should be 21. And, you know, you go through Bassett training, you go through all this other stuff. I mean, I'm still stuck at 21, and I'm sorry, that's the way I feel. I think 21 should be, whoever serves should be 21.
So
You know,
only the
they-
person pouring has to go through Bassett training?
Person
No,
pouring-
no,
No. Our requirement is if she's delivering it or touching
She
it,
has to-
everybody.
She would still have to
Even the
go,
18-year-old?
yeah.
Even the 18-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, I feel more comfortable with a 21-year-old serving than an 18-year-old.
I personally don't see the difference between pouring and serving, but that's just a word.
Well, pouring is making the drink. This is strictly delivery of the drink.
It's my opinion. In my opinion, I feel that they're a little older, they understand a little bit more. than 18-year-olds.
Well, it's anything between 18 and 21. Elmhurst has a 19. If you want to make it 19, we'll make it 19. If that helps the cause.
Hey, whatever the majority of the board wants, like I said, that's
I
my
mean-
opinion.
Anyone? 18?
18.
Okay, all right.
We'll work on a code amendment.
Thank you. I think that's it. Okay, executive session. Mike, you said you indicated we have something under 5 Ilix 122C1, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal, specific employees of the public body. And under B, 5 Ilix 122C5, purchase, lease of real property for the use of the public body, including whether a particular parcel should be acquired. Is there a motion and a second
So
to
moved.
Second.
adjourn our board meeting? Nick and Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
Any opposition? No.